this is my review of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Okay, so following Keicho Nijimura's defeat at the end of last episode, Josuke and Koichi decide that they should actually poke around the house a little bit to try and find the bow and arrow and destroy it before anybody else can get their hands on it. Josuke's a little reluctant on doing it himself because he's kind of injured a little bit. His arm's broken. He has a bad foot. He has a bad foot now, and also he's just not in the mood after fighting Keicho, which I kind of expect. Keicho was a bit of a rough opponent, but Koichi openly admits that even if Josuke doesn't want to, he's going to go find it anyway, for personal reasons. Because Koichi got shot with the bow and arrow. He knows what it feels like, and he knows that he's probably not the only one who almost died from getting shot by it. And points out that if Josuke hadn't been there in the first place, he probably would have died. And yeah, he would have. He was starting to bleed out. He was going to die. If Josuke hadn't intervened, he would have died altogether, and Josuke would have lost a friend. So yeah, Koichi's motivations for going after the bow and arrow are completely understandable. He knows firsthand what it feels like to die from the bow and arrow, and he knows how lucky he was because he happened to have a friend with the ability to heal people. But other people are most likely not going to be as lucky. So Koichi's entire motivation is, I don't want what almost happened to me to happen to anybody else. So he basically goes deeper into the house to try and find it. And Josuke, after thinking about it for a minute and after realizing that Koichi can be really brave when he wants to be, decides to actually join him and help him search for it. They eventually find it in the attic. They spy through the door, which is open just a crack. And sure enough, they're planning to go rush into the room and grab it. But then they hear some weird noises coming from the other side of the door. And they're notably concerned because it sounds like an animal. It probably is an animal, and they're not entirely sure what it is. And they also know that the Nijimura brothers have mentioned having a dad at this point, and they haven't seen him yet. So as far as they know, it could be either they would have seen him by now if they had, but also they're not entirely sure what this creature is. For all we know, it could be their dad who is just lying in wait for them. So they decide to play it cautious, and Koichi and Josuke decide that Koichi will kick the door in at Josuke's count. However, it doesn't progress that far because a giant hand just comes through the door and grabs Koichi anyway, and Josuke accidentally breaks his hand off, and it's just revealed to be this giant gremlin creature. And they're not entirely sure what it is at first, but then Keicho Nijimura, who is revealed to have survived his own explosion, walks in, grabs the bow and arrow from the other side of the room, and reveals exactly what it is. It's his father. So yeah, the weird gremlin thing is his father, and Josuke notably asks what's wrong with him. And Keicho reveals that he's actually perfectly healthy, but reveals that, plot twist, he was actually a servant of Dio before whatever happened to him actually happened to him, and that Dio had actually implanted some of his cells into his father. So Josuke is immediately intrigued and wants to know more. So Keicho decides to indulge him in his backstory. It's revealed that 10 years ago, the Nijimura brothers' father the Nijimura patriarch was actually down on his luck. He wasn't doing well at his job. He was very stressed all the time because he didn't have enough money to provide for his family, and as a result, he constantly beat his children, which kind of explains a lot. So, and yeah, but eventually his luck turned around, and when we met with Dio, who basically made him a servant in exchange for giving him wealth so that he could actually pay off his bills and all that. And sure enough, Nijimura takes it. He's more than happy to serve Dio, and it means he's able to provide for his family. And Keicho eventually realizes that his father is a stand user, but it's never actually stated what his stand actually is. But it's presumed that it wasn't something built for combat because Dio never actually sent Nijimura after the Joestar group in part 3. So it's heavily implied that it was a stand that Dio took interest in, but he wasn't entirely sure what it did, and it's not exactly useful combat-wise. And sure enough, things are okay and normal for a while. But then one day, Keicho comes home to find Okuyasu sobbing on the floor, and asks if their father beat him again. But then Okuyasu reveals, no, it's much worse. So he goes in and sees that his father is actually starting to mutate, because thanks to Jotaro killing Dio at the end of part 3, the Nijimura has actually started to mutate into the little gremlin thing that we see in this episode, and it proclaims that the flesh bud that was implanted in his head is starting to go out of control and has slowly started to consume his body. So, yeah, it's revealed that that he became a monster because of something Jotaro did. So Jotaro is indirectly, but still responsible for what happened to the Nijimura patriarch. He killed Dio, who was controlling Keicho and Okuyasu's father, and when he died, the flesh bud that was in Nijimura's head just kind of went berserk and mutated his body into an unkillable thing. So yeah, and also Keicho remarks that the reason he's been using the bow and arrow is because he wants to put his father out of his misery. To put it bluntly, he's tired of his father being a shambling monster, and his father doesn't even recognize his own sons anymore. So he wants to just find a stand user that will be able to commit on the deed of actually killing their father, thereby putting him out of his misery, or at the very least enabling him to die a normal death. Because apparently, because Dio's cells merge with him, he can no longer die, and as I've explained, he's a little bit more brittle because he's kind of a gross monster thing now, but he has the ability to regenerate as well, which means that killing him doesn't actually work. And the only thing that seems to keep the Nijimura occupied is rummaging through this giant hope chest in the upstairs attic, and just rummaging through it, which Keicho usually has to restrain his father from doing sometimes, because sometimes it gets on his nerves. And sure enough, he does exactly that, attacking his father. And notably, both Josuke and Koichi get very, very upset because of that, because it's his father. You're not supposed to do that. Koichi points out, Keicho points out that it may be his father biologically, but it stopped being his father a long time ago. Which, yeah, but he explains that he needs to just find somebody that'll actually help him kill his father, and sure enough is looking for somebody to just kill his father for him. And sure enough, as shortly after getting beaten, he goes right back to the hope chest. The Nijimura thing goes right back to the hope chest and starts digging around again. But however, Josuke manages to get a glimpse of what's actually going on in the chest and realizes that he's trying to piece something together. So, and sure enough, when Keicho actually starts beating up his father again, Josuke immediately intervenes and uses his stand to actually repair what's in the box. And it's revealed that what was in the box was a family portrait. So it's revealed that Nijimura does recognize his two sons, but he only recognizes them as the children they were and not the almost grown adults that they've become. So he doesn't recognize his sons, but not as they are, rather as they were. So it's implied that his memories are in there, but he isn't able to form any new ones. So, and that's kind of sad. And sure enough, Okuyasu, having seen the explosion from outside and coming in to check on everything, heard the whole thing, comes into the room and tries to talk his brother down and tell him to give up creating stand users, because they have a way to actually heal their father, so quote unquote, so that they can actually, restore their father to how he used to be, rather than just trying to kill him as the monster he is now. And Keicho, not surprisingly, adamantly refuses, pointing out that he's kind of too far gone now. He's made a lot of stand users apparently. He's killed a lot of people with the bow and arrow, so he can't really come back from that. And it's gotten to the point where he doesn't even see Okuyasu as his own brother anymore. So he's clearly pretty far gone. However, as the two are arguing, Josuke notices somebody on the roof and asks if there's other relatives living in the house. and both Oikeasu and Keicho adamantly deny that there's anybody else living there. There's only 3 of them: their father and the 2 brothers. And sure enough, not unsurprisingly, somebody, the stand called Red Hot Chili Pepper actually emerges from the electrical outlet in the attic and attacks Keicho and almost attacks Oikeasu, but Keicho knocks Oikeasu out of the way with a punch, telling him to stop spacing out and get out of the way. And sure enough, he's immediately attacked, and Red Hot Chili Pepper, using his stand, basically his stand user through Red Hot Chili Pepper, announces that he's taking the bow and arrow, and then he plans to use it to make more stand users. And Keicho adamantly denies him doing that because he points out that he probably won't be able to control it and won't be able to control any of the stand users he actually creates. To which Red Hot Chili Pepper replies that it's because of Keicho Nijimura that his stand was actually able to grow stronger, and he's actually been growing strong enough to actually become a more powerful stand. And sure enough, because he comes out the same way he comes in, only this time he has the bow and arrow in one hand and Keicho Nijimura strung on the other. And everybody tries to rescue Keicho, but Keicho adamantly refuses their help, pointing out that if they get too close, they'll be electrocuted, and tells Oikeasu that he's always been holding him back before disappearing into the electrical outlet. And Josuke notably bursts through the skylight on the roof, leaps out of the skylight on the roof, and looks around for the stand user, who he just saw through the window a couple of minutes ago, but can now no longer find. And sure enough, Oikeasu and Koichi follow him soon after. And he asks if he knew about the stand user, and Oikeasu adamantly points out that he does not. Keicho made a lot of stand users in his time, and he has no idea and there's some that even Oikeasu doesn't know about. Keicho has been doing this for a while, and apparently one of them just decided to betray him. And sure enough, as they're looking for the stand user, they actually see Keicho Nijimura draped across some power lines, completely charred. And not surprisingly, Oikeasu breaks down in tears because his brother is dead. That I would imagine that even though he just said that they don't see each other, he doesn't see him as family anymore, it still hurts. It's still his brother. He's still upset that his brother is now dead. And though he openly admits that his brother most likely deserved what he got because his brother did kind of do some pretty bad things. He also admits that in his own way he did try to protect Oikeasu toward the very end. And sure enough, Josuke confirms that he did try to protect him at the very end. Sure enough, Keicho Nijimura is buried after being retrieved from the power lines. And then Red Hot Chili Pepper stand user, who we never actually see this episode, calls up Jotaro and tells him to get out of Morio, pointing out that he won't intervene if they leave him alone. But if they do try to pursue him, that something bad will happen to Josuke and his family. But also during this conversation, lets it slip. He's a student. He lets it slip that he might be a student, and realizing this, he blows up Josuke's phone in his hotel room before Jotaro can actually get more information out of him. So Jotaro is unable to actually get more information. But here's a key piece of information. He's a student. So yeah, now we know. So yeah, we have an idea of who killed Keicho Nijimura, and it's implied to be a student because he mentions having to pay off student loans and stuff like that. So it's heavily implied that he's a student, and he might be a student. But in case, with that wrapped up, there's actually one little bit of a plot twist at the end here. So Josuke gets a knock at the door in the morning when he's about to go to school, and surprise, surprise, Oikeasu Nijimura is the one at the door and reveals that they're actually going to school together now. And sure enough, Tomoko invites Oikeasu in, and now Josuke is a little bit confused and disoriented because now somebody that was previously an enemy is now not only his next door neighbor, but is also a classmate as well. So yeah, there's that. But in any case, yeah, that's my review of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So there's a bit of a mystery here. Keicho Nijimura, he created a lot of stand users. One of them wound up betraying him, and also his father wound up becoming a gross monster because of something that Jotaro did. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting seeing how they actually address this new stand user because we haven't actually seen him yet. He attacked you he used his stand and escaped via the electrical outlet. We haven't seen him. So we have no idea who he is. We have an idea of what his powers are. He apparently can control electricity and just go through electrical outlets and stuff like that. So yeah, he's going to be a little bit interesting to deal with, but when we actually meet him. But it is interesting because now they have to deal with a new villain who has stolen the bow and arrow and is most likely going to create more stand users. That's going to be interesting. But yeah, that's my review of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. They're going to have to solve the mystery of who this new stand user is and why he wants the bow and arrow. Because we've already established why Keicho wants the bow and arrow. He wants to kill his father because his father is now an immortal gross monster. But we have no idea who Red Hot Chili Pepper stand user is and why he wants the bow and arrow. So yeah, we're going to be seeing that in the next couple of episodes. So yeah, that's my review of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. What did you guys think? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord server, link in the description. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. And also, be sure to check out my Patreon in the description below as well. It's only a couple bucks a month. It really helps me out, and you guys get access to a bunch of cool perks. So I'm always saying thanks. So be sure to check those out in the description below as well. But in any case, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!